A few days ago, it hit me like a dodgeball to the face. Right then and there, everything clicked. I was sitting in class, zoning out from the lesson, attempting to show interest in what my class peer was blabbering on about. Something regarding studying, how examinations don't test true knowledge, and the fact that they weren't learning anything concerning what they wanted to do in the future. They then mentioned that they just try to forget everything they studied right after the test, because it was useless so long that they got a good mark. Wait, what did I just hear? Everything paused as I rewinded the sentence over and over again in my head. Hold on a second. How long has this mentality been in the education system? The last thing I remember was that every school's principal goal is education and learning. Was the learning factor fading from schools to make way for marks alone? How can students show their true potential if they perceive marks to be more important than knowledge? How could I consider this an education when we are not learning, but working towards a mere number? Seems like marks nowadays can only reflect how much a student can memorize and regurgitate back up, lesson after lesson. It's like a mother bird feeding her chicks, spewing out the worm and leaving nothing for herself. The student most likely forgets the concepts right after they are done with the course. Students know nothing better but to take shortcuts when studying. After all, what have we grown up listening to? Marks are rewarded with success, so study hard. My question is, what about creativity, and shouldn't we be given credit for real-life experience? It frustrates me how it seems like the education system has forgotten its purpose. Having students stress about marks as opposed to application of key concepts also leads to academic dishonesty. It bothers me how some students can get away with strategically studying a few questions after realizing what the content on a test or assignment will be from other writers. The thing is, these are usually the students with the highest mark. How can this be fair to students who actually study and understand what they are doing? I don't understand how students could be so blunt when asking for test answers, memorize them, and write it down on the test without feeling the slightest sliver of guilt. It's an effortless way to get marks they honestly don't deserve. Strategically studying, plagiarism, or even sharing answers is only being dishonest to yourself because you truthfully do not understand the meaning behind the answer. The funny thing is, these are the people who could easily be accepted to university, college, and even jobs, since these institutions usually accept students majorly based on their marks, without actually testing if they can apply their knowledge or not. These students may actually know barely anything about the field at hand. Meanwhile, several talented individuals may be denied acceptance based on their marks, but are the ones who are passionate about the field. This may be because they get too nervous on tests or are weak at memorization. The thing is, a student with just marks is just staring at a bunch of muddled dots, but a student with actual knowledge and experience can connect those dots to form a clear picture. You see, education is pointless if no one steps back and looks at the reason why we learn. We need to stop being driven by marks and instead steer towards a desire to learn something new. Otherwise, school is just tedious and repetitive without little gain. I'm sure you've heard this complaint multiple times before. There are millions of children out there who would die for an education. We are privileged to have one, and we need to change the society-influenced perspective we have in order to see the fundamentals of learning. This mentality is the reason why our society is slowly diminishing in power. If the education system's mindset is to only ensure that students pass, then they must be doing something wrong. We need to ask ourselves, what's our priority, marks or knowledge?